afternoon. Welcome once again to our video blog from the Russian International Olympic University. Today I'll be speaking with Professor John Beech of the Coventry University, United Kingdom. He's a visiting professor here to the Russian International Olympic University. Professor John Beech is interested in the mismanagement of football, the management of events and sponsorship among many issues. He's an award-winning blogger as well. You should check out his blog. And good afternoon, Professor Beech.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you very much for welcoming me.
It's a pleasure to have been in a classroom with you throughout this week. I'd like for us to talk about the growth of the Premier League. It's the biggest football league in the world, and most exciting for many people who follow it all over the world. Do you see this growth continuing, and what would be responsible for the lack of growth if you were to say something if it wasn't to grow anymore?
That's a very interesting question. I mean, if I think back to the middle 1990s, I can remember talking with colleagues and saying, how long can this continue, this growing broadcasting rights and sponsorship money? And we were all of the opinion, oh, at some point it's going to stop. And we've been saying exactly the same thing for 20 years. So is the growth going to continue? Well, all the indications are yes, it is. I think it's going to change a little bit. We can see in broadcasting, I think the television money is going to reach a maximum. Because it is facing competition from internet broadcasting. So that will bring down the price of the television rights, but it's not going to affect the sport, because what money they lose by reduced television broadcasting rights, they will make by selling rights to people like Google and YouTube. So overall, I don't see it changing. Sponsorship money, I think that's probably going to continue. The only thing I think that would stop it would be a large scandal, not a scandal with one club, but if English football had a scandal that affected the whole of football, gave it a bad name, if there was a kind of Tiger Woods effect on the Premier League, then that probably would affect sponsorship. I've no reason to think that will happen, but of course it could.
Thank you for this. With the growth of the Premier League, you also realize that many smaller countries who want to also grow their leagues, they are finding it difficult because their fans are sold on to the Premier League. How do you see this? Smaller countries, emerging markets, try to grow their own leagues. How can they do this in the face of the mammoth presence of the Premier League, and also how tough is it for local fans in England, seeing how much the league has become so international, and it seems they're taking away the joy, the domestic values they get. Just it's been enjoyed so much by international audiences, much more than the crowds at home.
Okay, that's really two questions. I think that the first question, how are other countries going to fight back and get interest back in their football leagues? Very interesting example is South Korea, where in South Korea you can watch English Premier League, Bundesliga, you can watch Italian football, Spanish football, French football, Dutch football. And this has had a very negative impact on Korean football, because fans are much more likely to be a fan of Manchester United than they are of their local team. It's actually having a bad effect. And things are getting better. If you go back a long time, if a Korean player wanted to make it big, then he would be looking to play in the English Premier League. Back 20 years ago, he would have a problem. How do I become known to English clubs? And he would go to play perhaps in Norway, because the scouts from the English clubs were not visiting Korea, so they'd never discover him, but they were going to Norway. So if he could make it in Norway, there was a chance he would then be chosen by an English team. So there are ways of fighting back. But I think the big problem is how dominant the English Premier League and the other four, how dominant they've become. And it's going to be very difficult for any other league to rise up to that kind of level. I suppose China is the one place where politically there is a drive to increase the importance of Chinese football. And that's why so many Chinese owners are appearing in the Premier League and in fact in Europe. So that's the only way perhaps they'll be able to fight back. I'm trying to remember the second part was...
The ownership of the local fans.
The ownership going foreign and the players going foreign.
Yeah. And the fans feeling that they are losing like control of their own clubs to foreign interests.
Well, I think that's more of a problem. I think in terms of actually having foreign owners, I think many fans welcome foreign owners simply because they welcome rich people. They're not bothered what nationality they are. As long as somebody comes along and puts in lots of money, they're happy. Regarding foreign players, well, they're getting star players. So again, most fans are not worried by the fact it's no longer a local crew, and no longer local players who are playing. As long as they're doing well, as long as the money's there, in general they're not worried. Where they do get worried is when it goes wrong, when a football club collapses. So for example, the club I support, Portsmouth, we had 4 or 5 foreign owners who in the beginning put some money in, but then they got bored or they didn't have enough money. They didn't manage it very well. Because they were putting money in, the club had risen higher than it should have been, to be honest. It was in the Premier League, it was winning the FA Cup, but there wasn't enough regular money coming in from matchday tickets to make this sustainable. And in the end, when the last foreign owner went, we were in serious trouble, and the club was only rescued by fans like myself banding together and buying the club. We're now a fan-owned club. And I think that's a model that will increase in numbers. It's never going to be very big. As long as there are enough rich men around, no club is going to become owned by its fans. But when it gets into serious financial trouble, then it's rescued by its fans, it's fan-owned. Certainly in Portsmouth, I would say there is a definite increase in pride in Portsmouth, a definite increase in identity with the club. The players are still very mixed and many foreign players, but there is a pride in the club. If you look at the crowds we're attracting, we're now down at level 4 in League 2. We've got easily the biggest attendances of anyone in that level. We are competing in terms of how many thousands watch every game. We're up at championship level. So we've got good revenue streams, and hopefully we will climb back at least to the championship.
Well, that's good and hopeful news for fans of Portsmouth. But the Premier League, as it's grown, and also you see ticket costs for fans, it's disenfranchising fans. Do you think local fans would be priced out at one time, at a particular time, and then they would seek for other venues for enjoying football?
There is a basic problem that there are alternatives. If you don't go to football, you can do some other leisure activity, or you can go shopping with your family, or go to the beach and swim in the summer. So there is always that competition there. There is no guarantee that numbers will continue. I think at the moment the football is still so exciting. The players are the star players from all over the world in the Premier League. It's still a very attractive product, and they haven't yet pushed to the end of price elasticity. I think we're beginning to see a limit. We're reaching probably the maximum level they can charge. And that varies considerably from club to club. As a very rough guide, the London clubs, because London is a richer place, they're charging higher prices than the clubs in the north of England. So there are very big differences in ticket prices between north and south within the Premier League. So I would say it is beginning to reach a limit. We're already seeing fan protests about prices, especially fan fan protests against high away ticket prices. It's not the rule everywhere, but in England, about 25 years ago, we changed to, instead of dividing ticket money 50-50 between the two clubs, the home club keeps all the money. So that's a particular reason why fans object to paying high ticket prices, because the money's going to the other club. Plus, of course, the fact they're having to travel. Railway fares in England are very, very high compared with anywhere else in the world. So they've got high travel expenses. And because of television, they've now stopped having all 10 games at 3 o'clock on Saturday. There'll be a game on Friday evening, a game late on Sunday. It may not be possible to travel home after that late night on Friday, so you're having to get a hotel room for a night. So again, adding to the expense. So again, the fans are saying, well, we're paying a lot to go to an away game. We shouldn't then be giving that club high amounts of money. And the campaign is called 20's Plenty. And they're trying to get every club to limit away ticket prices to £20. The Premier League have reacted. They've given money back to clubs to subsidise, to help fans at away games. Some of them are using it to bring the price down. Some of them are laying on free coaches, so they're cutting the cost of travel. So there is an awareness that we're maybe reaching the limit with ticket prices.
Just this week, we have read about a report that TV audience is watching the Premier League on TV. I mean, TV audience is obviously dropped. TV audience figures dropped. Why do you think this is happening, and could this portend some danger for? Especially, I know this is mostly local. Like, why is this happening locally in the UK among TV viewers?
Well, I think it's because of the price of watching television, the subscription to the satellite channel. Again, like ticket prices, it's beginning to reach a limit where fans are saying, no, simply that is too much to pay to watch the game. I think it's interesting, this development of internet broadcasting. That makes the broadcasting rights in general more competitive. More people are bidding, so that will push the price up. We will see people like Google and YouTube will start internet broadcasting. I think the impact will be on television. They will have to be careful about what they bid for. I suspect the income from television will go down, but then to the league it will go up by the money they make from internet broadcasting. So I think overall it's not going to have a large impact. It might overall push the price up. Because there is more competition. They will be fighting the broadcasting companies will be fighting one another more and more, pushing up the price they're prepared to pay. So it may end up with more kind of money coming into the sport. But I think the fan will have more choice. Either watch it on television at home where he pays, but yes, some will be going to bars to watch where they don't have to pay any extra to watch, or they'll watch it on their laptop.
My final question would be the phenomenon that the Premier League has become. 92 when it started, and I know you've been writing about football for a long time and researching, and you must have seen it from the beginning. Did you ever think it was going to be this big phenomenon that the world would all, take notice of and watch regularly like this? Did you think it was going to be this really big product for sport in the world?
Well, definitely yes, I thought it was going to be a big product. Has it grown bigger than I thought it would? Again, I'd have to be honest and say yes, I didn't realize just how big it would become, how dominant it would become. And I think as an academic it's interesting because in almost every sense the Premier League leads. In the good things that you might say, like how much money they get from sponsorship and broadcasting, but I think it also leads in how it could go wrong. It also gives a bad example in that it tends to be quite reactive to fans rather than proactive. It doesn't engage very much with fans. It is very much going from sport to entertainment, and it's very much being driven by money, and I'm not so happy with that, but that's life.
And we wish Portsmouth all the best for the future. Thank you very much, Professor Beech. Thank you guys for joining us once again this week. As the semester proceeds, we would continue to bring you the best brains in sports management in the world. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Goes Pompey, 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 all the team. Pompey, 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 Pompey.